Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. Hey everybody, this is Tatiana, and I'm, taping for you live from World CryptoCon in Las Vegas. And I've been talking with a bunch of different people that are OGs in the crypto space, and then I've also got some new fresh blood. But yesterday, I met a really interesting person that has a music background. I was speaking with Mark Yarm, who's a senior writer at Breaker magazine. And he basically came over from the music industry and is now covering crypto, which I think is something that I've seen only a few times, but I think is going to be an upcoming trend. So I wanted to introduce him to you guys, maybe put him on your radar, check out his articles, but also find out what that experience has been like. So thanks for joining me today, Mark.
Thanks, Tatiana. I appreciate it. I've never been called a trendsetter before. You are calling me a trendsetter, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of my background. I was a music writer. I wrote for Blender magazine, which folded in 2009. It was kind of a competitor to Rolling Stone. And while I was there, I wrote an oral history of sub-pop, the Seattle label that put out Nirvana, Mudhoney, bands of that ilk, the grunge sound. And from that, I got a book contract. I wrote a book called Everybody Loves Their Town, an oral history of grunge, which came out in 2011, which was timed to the 20th anniversary of Nirvana's Nevermind. So, kind of grunge expert. I'm not a cryptocurrency expert or a blockchain expert, but I kind of have fallen into this. I've been working at Breaker. Breaker's a relatively new online magazine, breakermag.com. We're focusing more on the people and the personalities and the thoughts behind blockchain and cryptocurrency than perhaps some of the other sites out there.
Yeah, well, the context in which we met was you were interviewing Lynn Ulbricht. So that's quite a story. What's been your initial impression on that, and had you heard about it before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even though I wasn't super savvy about crypto and blockchain, I've known about Ross's case since, basically it happened. And Ross's story, as you know, has been told a lot. Lynn's story, however, has not been told that much. I mean, she certainly does a lot of interviews, but she's speaking on behalf of her son, and this is more a portrait of her and her fight to free Ross, as opposed to, the case will be part of the story, no doubt, but at the foreground is Lynn, and just, it's almost inconceivable, some of the things she's done and is doing and continues to do, and the energy she's spent on this case, so.
Absolutely. Well, everybody knows all about Free Ross in my audience. I'm always talking about it, but I agree, Lynn is a really interesting character. She's one of my really, really good friends, and she's an inspiration, when people ask you, who's your, hero is like a really strong word, but something like that, who do you look up to? Who sets an example? I think Lynn Ulbricht, all around, is just an incredible human being, and it's an unfortunate situation, but luckily we've got a lot of people bringing attention to it, and she's just such a tireless champion for her son. What do you think is the crossover with the music side and the crypto side? Do you think that there's a place where music and crypto converge? And I mean more, not just from a technological perspective, but from a cultural perspective. I was a Nirvana fan, and, I liked that. I grew up in that era, kind of digging that ethos. Do you think that there's anything in this community that kind of correlates with the music community?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of stories on musicians already. Taryn Southern, who is big into AI, she just released an album which was partially written by AI, and she released like a blockchain anthem that was written on the blockchain. I forget how many, there were 75 to... she tokenized her song, and I think there were 300 token owners. They get, if it sells, they get a share, from streams, and it's on the Ethereum blockchain, so they get a share of it, and like 75 of them actually helped write the lyrics and push the direction of the song. So that's interesting. I mean, she's doing some stuff. Imogen Heap is another artist who I'm going to be doing a sort of a fun thing, actually an idea I ripped off from Blender, where we check in. It was called Collect Call when we did it at Blender, and nobody does collect calls anymore, but they didn't even then when we were doing it. But it's basically I'm going to be checking in with her over a week. She's touring. She's very blockchain oriented. I mean, she's one of the musicians that's at the forefront of that. I mean, the hip hop community is into it. Last week I interviewed Old Dirty Bastard's son, who there's now an ODB coin, which is I think goes on sale December 1st, and I was trying to get in touch with Soulja Boy because he did this Bitcoin track, but that seems to have fallen through. It's hard to reach Soulja Boy apparently. So there's quite a bit of crossover.
Yeah, I think so too. I think culturally also, crypto is very rock and roll. It's all about empowering the individual, and I think that really offers a lot of opportunities for freedom for artists, and it's exciting to see things kind of blossoming.
Yeah, I mean, it can be rock and roll, but then again, it can be super corporate as well.
Not the way we do it.
Not the way you do it.
No.
But in the, look around at the conference. There's a lot of, Actually, this isn't as bad. I mean, the first day I went to work at Breaker was Consensus in New York. I was literally thrust. I knew nothing about crypto or blockchain except the tiniest bit. And I was just thrust into Consensus, and I was like, there were 8,000 people there. It was the biggest crypto gathering up to date, as far as I know. And it was just crazy. I was like, what did I get myself into? It was just like overwhelming.
Yeah, well, I think that that's definitely a little bit more of the corporate one. I also went to Consensus. It was a little bit overwhelming, but I think that I guess maybe because I've been in this space for such a long time, I got involved in 2012, and most of the OG people started Bitcoin and started working on this, I think, because they wanted that rock and roll side. So I think that the community even struggles with different elements helping this evolve, because you need the corporate people, you need the banker types, you need all these other folks. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin, for example, and some of this technology is really about the individual, and that empowerment, I think, is super exciting for anybody in the world to take advantage of. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out.
Yeah, I mean, this is, as I said, I've only been at this since May, and this morning I spoke to Brock Pierce, and I spoke to Tim Draper yesterday, so I'm already getting introduced to the kind of key players. It's such a fascinating cast of characters. It's almost like music in that. I mean, Brock Pierce is kind of like a rock star, right? I mean, he dresses like a rock star. Burning Man rock star, I guess. But, it's definitely has a little bit of that rock and roll culture to it.
Absolutely. I think so too. So, just to wrap it up, where can people find you? Where can people check you out? What about your Twitter and stuff? Give me some links.
All right, sure. First of all, breakermag.com, breakermag.com. Check out our stuff. We update 5 days a week. I am on Twitter at Mark Yarm, my name, MarkYarm, as in money. Cash money, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe cryptocurrency. Mark Yarm. And you can also please check out my book, Everybody Loves Our Town, An Oral History of Grunge. I used to run a Tumblr for it. It's grungebook.tumblr.com. And you can find out how to buy it there.
Excellent. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, this is Tatiana from The Tatiana Show with Sasha Hodder, filling in for Joshua Segala. We're here at the World CryptoCon in Las Vegas with VESA, a blockchain artist who's doing sort of, I don't know, actually you could tell me about what you're doing here, because I'm looking at all this beautiful art. I know you're doing something with Free Ross, but I don't know the whole story. So maybe if you could give the audience a little bit of background on you and then how you came to be here at World CryptoCon.
Sure, okay. I just started doing something creative ever since I was 5 years old, and I first went to actually professional filmmaking and music and things like that. I used to have a production company, in essence, I'm a storyteller. So in maybe about a year and a half ago, when I went down the crypto rabbit hole and realized the revolution and understood how important the story was, I also realized that there wasn't a lot of substantial art that was really capturing the zeitgeist of what was going on. And as a natural storyteller and as someone who understood the monetary system and had been involved in criticizing it a little with documentary films and things like that, it was just a natural evolution to birth this platform called Art for Crypto and start telling the story of the blockchain, of what's going on. And of course, in the future, it'll be married together with artificial intelligence and virtual reality. I just did a talk and presentation yesterday where I showed the very first virtual reality piece as well as the first augmented reality piece. And I'm excited about the platform that we're putting together, that I'm looking to get invested. There's a few people already who are on board with it, but we need a few more. But yeah, every single piece that is here has a relevant story with regards to Bitcoin and the blockchain and what's going on here. So I love a lot of the creativity and the spirit of what's in crypto, and I applaud all the technical solutions and all of this great innovation that is coming into the space. But I think my current contribution to it is to somehow substantiate, not in a propaganda way necessarily, not all pro Bitcoin. It's also some criticism of what's going on in this space. Like, for example, I just said with the free Ross thing, and I totally don't think that guy should be in prison and throw away the key. That's crazy. So if I can contribute to that story, and for that family to reunite, and the piece now goes back to the very origin of it, great. But also what I did is was it yesterday or the day before, we auctioned one of the pieces in Malta. It was the blockchain awards at the Malta Blockchain Summit, and there was a piece called The Magnificent Eight, which again is about responsibility, and the past, present, and future of Malta was auctioned on stage in front of the Maltese president, as well as the top 400 companies there, and the art piece shared the stage with the AI robot Sophia as it was doing. This is one of the coolest pictures that I've ever gotten. So I'm so fortunate to be at the right place at the right time, and we're going to do incredible things in the future as well with the World Cryptocurrency guys. And the next thing that we're probably going to be doing together is the Hodder rally, and they've offered incredible support, and this is the new birth of the creative blockchain. And not everyone got it yet here at VCC, but the way that I see it, this is the new early adoption period. Now the tech has brought it as far as it can, and now the next evolution of blockchain is the integration of creativity into it. And the integration is not an afterthought. It's not something that is maybe we will do it. Either you do it or your company will not succeed. And artificial intelligence and most of the innovations that are making the drudgery work not necessary anymore. If you don't implement creativity into your business, you're already dead. You just don't know it.
Yeah, I feel like the integration of AI and virtual reality and art is just kind of a little bit scary. As a musician and a creator myself, I don't really think that you can capture the human spirit. What's been your experience with that? I mean, I think you need the human spirit in order to create art. You need a soul. So how would you counter that?
Not really. I mean, some of the AI pieces that I've seen exhibit more creativity than most other stuff that I see in the gallery circuit.
Do they make you feel an emotion?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, even the early Google Deep Dream stuff. I mean, I had my early experiences with psychedelics and everything. Some of the Deep Dream stuff captured the ayahuasca trip better than most artists that I've seen do that stuff in a way that actually was the accurate portrayal of what happens to you if you go on some of these journeys. It's nonsensical still in early stages, and of course it doesn't have the prestige, and it's gonna be a whole nother thing. But let's say in about a decade, when AI, it might be even sooner than that, it might be in 5 years when AI is creating pieces, I think there's going to be a lot of human artists who are going to struggle to get anywhere near the state of creativity that AI is going to be creating.
But there's no purpose for the AI to do it. They have no love, and they have no heart, they have no experience. Why would they make art?
I've never met an AI yet. I don't know. I don't know if they have a soul. I don't know if they're going to develop as an organism. Like I was listening to Joe Rogan talk about this a while ago, and he was just saying maybe human beings are the sex organ that birthed the next evolution, which is AI, and we will in one way become quite irrelevant. I don't believe so. I hope not. I hope but it's one of those things that Elon Musk says, if you can't beat them, join them. So a part of this, what I'm doing is integration and moving forward with this. I think we are fast becoming some sort of a hybrid. Even this mobile phone is already it's our AI in your hand, and it's our interlink to the whole world. If we don't do it, we're in such of a mess. And I believe AI is a big threat. It can maybe just look at us and go, well, done with these, or then it's in some sort of an integration. Maybe, like, for example, I was trying to figure out nutrition just a while ago, and you have everything now from people who eat just meat to those who think nothing but something like one plant or whatever. You have the whole polarization and all the data in the world to back up both the extremes and everything in between. So my hope is, like, AI would get all the data from all the nutrition, and it would not only be able to source how much poison is in all the food, what your body type is, and what would be the optimal solution for all nutrition for your body type, your climate, your everything, and it will give that information to you without corruption as guiding advice. You know, that can encompass the whole of the database of the whole of the world. So in that kind of simple way, I'm hoping some of the noise, we're so noised up right now, but artificial intelligence, when we work together with it, it might be that it helps us have clarity on some of the things that we've never had clarity before.
I think it's a really fascinating subject. I'm going to probably spend a little bit more time interviewing other artists involved with it as well. But what I thought was really cool about your art was also that you're implementing sort of an activism into it, you know, and that's what I've done with my art. You know, I have a Free Ross song, things like that.
Sure.
Before you got into crypto, were you having any kind of activist type expression in your work as well? And do you, and is that a fair characterization? Like, do you consider this artwork to be a form of activism?
Yeah, sure. Like, for example, that piece that is over there, I mean, people are not going to be, they won't see it, but my previous platform, artevo.org, is where this innovation in visual art started for me because I used to be a filmmaker. But then when I transitioned into this, I started body painting with people doing these healing processes and so it's basically, it's the personal story, it's the societal story, and then it's the spiritual transcendent story, and all of them are coming together. And I did this one project with a phenomenal lady called Veena Malik. She's a Bollywood superstar, and she already had a fatwa. So basically,
why did she have a fatwa? Because she's dancing too
trouble.
sexy?
Yeah, she kissed the boy. So there's that horrible crime and others, but basically she was just a crazy thorn on the side of the authority of some of the corruption that was going on in the spiritual circles in Pakistan and whatever. And she pointed it out. She embarrassed a few people when they were trying to ambush her, and they tried to kill her, and she was on the run for about 1.5 years with this exile thing, and she was a train wreck when we started our collaboration. And basically I told her story in these nude body painted images that commented upon the common origin of all spirituality all over the world. It was a bridge building project. We didn't want to inflame anything. We wanted to actually heal something and find the common ground between Finland and Pakistan, and men and women, and as societies and as human beings, and point to the common transcendence. And when we did that, I mean, it was controversial, and we could have been killed, both of us, for doing that, because it's just not something that could be done in Pakistan or India. It's not something that is never done before. So we didn't know what was going to happen. And I had some friends who were coming over and saying, like, it was nice knowing you, and you know, that was very real. I had to make peace with the fact that this might be the last thing that I'll ever do. Luckily, the heart that we put to it, the light that we put to it, and the good message of love that we put to it shone through, and no one got offended. And it actually went, legacy media alone went to about 300 million people, and we changed the world with it.
Wow. That's really cool.
What came from that work? Where is she now?
Well, she now, I mean, from her being in this state of disarray, she now she made peace with her faith, with Islam, and she went to Mecca and she got married and she now has 2 kids, and she jumped out of her superstar life into more of a family life and more of a stable foundation and everything. And I actually don't know how she's doing right now. We haven't been in touch for a while, but she's one of the most incredible, strong, brave human beings that I've ever had the fortune of being doing a collaboration with. And I'm actually now in the search of finding a Western superstar who would be not only aligned with this kind of an empowerment theme, but also hopefully with blockchain. So to marry this body painting process, this world-changing message, and the blockchain together, and release them in an event like this or whatever, and make global waves and help bridge the blockchain awareness into the general public, and be really at the cusp of riding the wave of bringing creativity into the space that it so desperately needs, and most people don't yet know it.
So I think I know what your answer is going to be to this, but do you think it's worth artists risking their lives or putting themselves at a significant disadvantage to be expressive? Because I find right now our artistic and musical works are not necessarily encouraged to be critical. But at the same time, when you take a strong stance, you can range from ostracizing yourself from the industry all the way up to having,
Sure.
a fatwa on you too.
Yeah.
So do you think that that's worth it? And how do you reconcile
It's
that?
worth it for me. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else. That's their artistic journey and their personal journey. Everyone does it their own way. That particular project that we did, I was only able to put myself on the line like that because I knew the message was something that wasn't trying to hurt anyone. It was trying to heal us all in a certain level, and it managed to do that. So I knew that was good enough at that point for me to, if it so be, then that was that. I'm not going to risk my life for the Bitcoin Kenny piece over there. But obviously, of course, my reputation and my thing of what I'm doing in the blockchain is, to some people, that's really questionable because they don't understand Bitcoin. They might be thinking that it's only for the terrorists and the Silk Road or whatever thing. And we heard what's going on. So there's all these different kinds of culture wars, and then there's now the monetary war. I mean, I do listen to a lot of Andreas Antonopoulos. He's one of the guiding lights who I listen to in order to get what's happening, and I try and get the best minds and the best kind of concepts and try and transform them into art pieces. And I'm just absorbing everything as much as I can, and I'm far from an expert, but I'm no longer a newbie. So it's a continuous learning experience, and I'm so very fortunate to be here with you now.
Well, we're happy to have you here with us too. Where can people catch up with you and find out more?
Artforcrypto.com, and Twitter and Instagram is at @artbyvesa, which is VESA.
Excellent. Can't wait to share this and send it out to all of our listeners. Really a big fan.
And thank you so much for donating half the proceeds of the Silk Road piece to Ross's defense and, that effort.
Thank you. Let's get that guy out of there. He doesn't belong, certainly. I mean, there's a lot of people who believe that he should be punished severely, or some people that he doesn't deserve any punishment. That's everyone's own jam, but I certainly don't think he should be in prison and thrown away the key for being young and idealistic and something that, you heard the story or whatever. So if that family can at some point unite and he can come back and shine his light after assuming responsibility, of course, as well, which he's doing beautifully, and then come back and give his new message, I think it's going to be another important message to be heard by the cryptocurrency community.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Tatiana coming to you live and recorded at World CryptoCon here in Las Vegas around the Halloween time. I'm here with Kingsley Edwards, a friend of mine from Block 16, and we're sitting at the freeross.org booth looking at a piece made by VESA in order to rally support for Ross. It's a beautiful art piece. I just spoke with VESA a little while ago, did an interview, and Kingsley unfortunately has a soft spot, or I don't even know what to call it, but some experience with this. Kingsley, thanks so much for joining me today. I know you've been on the Tatiana show a bunch of times. We talked about this before, and I did want to talk to you about Block 16, but it does seem important while we're talking about the perils of the justice system to show how it extends. Maybe you could tell the audience a little bit about your own story.
Sure. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, Tatiana. And so, I grew up basically without my father. He's been in prison, state penitentiary for over 25 years for a small nonviolence drug crime in the 90s, early 90s. And this is when, Florida was really kind of going after the whole cocaine thing. And so they really started cracking down on, the war on drugs was like a really big issue with all politicians, I think, both left and right. And so unfortunately he got caught up in that, and he was an addict at the time, and he ended up his girlfriend at the time ended up snitching on him and calling the cops, and she actually later committed suicide because she felt so bad about what she had done to her family. His mother, my grandmother, obviously it's hurt her tremendously. By basically having grown up with a father since for my whole life. But yeah, it's sad to see what's happening to Ross as well. I know that's more on the federal level. So I'm trying to pay more attention actually to the politics of Florida. Even I'm watching the governor's race here. Unfortunately, the Democrat in Florida seems to be a lot more friendly towards drugs and these types of drug crimes, even though he's pretty much a socialist. So in a way I want to support him for that part, his being against or at least talking that he's against the war on drugs. I'm not really sure if he's implemented any legislation or policy, because I know he was, I think, the mayor of Tallahassee before. So he's probably just as corrupt as any of them, and he probably won't do much anyway. But it's a sad thing to see. There's very little people. I know Ross got what was his sentence? Like, is this something basically
double life
Yeah.
plus 40 years.
Yeah. So my father, he got 60 plus years, which is basically life for him. I think even with good behavior, he would still get out. It's like in his 70s, like mid 70s. So it's a sad situation, and just to see other people going through the same thing is really unfortunate.
Wow, what has that been like for your father? I mean, I know that Ross has been able to bear this with a relative amount of grace. I know that some people kind of fall apart in there. I can't even imagine how difficult that must be. How is your father doing in there,
So yeah, so he's doing relatively well. But yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. His only chance to really get out right now is getting clemency, which I was going over before. But it's basically under the governor. They have a clemency board. The funny thing about the clemency board is that I think they have like $1 million or $3 million budget. The office is full of like 4 people or something like that, 5 people. And they are behind, typical government, behind 5 years in filings. So my father, he filed, I think it's been over 5 years now, but his case or his file is supposed to just now, next year, I believe, supposed to get to the top. So, it's something that we've had to deal with. Unfortunately, there's very little other resolutions that we can do, except for unless we were to get to this information in front of the governor, which he has seen it before. We've had articles on USA Today and some other mainstream outlets, also many various local outlets. We've had Dave Elias with the local, I believe he's NBC. He's covered our story multiple times. We've actually met with multiple members of the clemency board as well, and they asked us to put together a package to show that my father would be completely, like, once he were to get out, he would be completely like rehabilitated, and show that he has like a job waiting for him, he has family, he has friends supporting him. And we did all this thing, it took a lot of time, put all this package together, handed it to them like they asked, and they didn't do anything. No word after that. So yeah, very, very frustrating, typical, dealings with these types of people. But hopefully, next year we have a chance. The only other chance would be with someone, that a good governor, hopefully, one that's not a socialist, that could, just to look at these things, look at these other people too that are involved with nonviolent drug crimes, and let them go, because it's so ridiculous. I mean, what's the point of keeping peaceful people in cages for their whole life for nothing?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's also extraordinarily expensive, and God knows we don't have the money for that. I'm thinking about how, you grew up without a father, and there's all these kind of horror stories about children growing up without their dad, and especially with the prison system making it that much worse. And yet when I look at you, you've been very successful in the crypto space. You're a stand-up guy. You've got your stuff together. How do you think that you've kept that strong core? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing, how this has influenced why you do what you do, if it has.
Yeah, so I think I kind of look at that too, because you look at I think it's 70+% of children where their fathers are in prison, they end up going in prison themselves. I saw that study a while ago, so it might be a little bit off, but it's something like that. So I try to kind of understand why maybe I kind of passed that little hurdle in life. I think it was still my mom, great, one of the best mother, I'll say. Everyone has their best mother, but I had a great mother growing up, great family supports. But really, yeah, it was my mom and my grandma that really helped me, keep on the straight and narrow. And just as far as just educating myself, I did fine in school, but I've always been a curious kid and a curious adult. I'm still a kid at heart, but I think that's a big thing that helps people just move forward and learn more and just become better people, is just being that curiosity. And thanks to the internet, we can look into pretty much anything that we want to and learn ourselves. Right now, I'm the CEO of Block 16. We do consulting work for various crypto companies with different projects, anything from business development to marketing to we have some blockchain developers that I've been working with in the space for over 5 years. So we do stuff with smart contracts, any technical support that we can help other companies out. And we're actually developing our first product in-house, which is a Ethereum wallet that's going to turn into a multi-coin wallet with a bunch of cool features. So we're excited to launch that out. So we're hoping to get it done this month, but looks like, well, I guess it's going to be November. It is November now. And we applied to Boost VC again. We went through Boost before in 2015, so we're hoping to get in again. And yeah, so we're a lot of exciting things. We share where our offices are in Las Vegas. You can check us out at block16.io.
Awesome, very cool. Thanks very much for spending some time with us today and sharing your story.
All right, thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tatiana Show. I've got Sasha Hodder with me. Hey, Sasha.
Hey.
She's filling in for Josh Agala, and we're sitting here with one of my favorite people, Jeffrey A. Tucker, who refuses to stop talking about his new car.
No, I'm not a
braggy.
No, but can I just say, I'm not a superficial person.
I don't think that you
it's
are,
just that
too.
I'm having a midlife crisis.
Well, that's quite a beautiful car.
Well,
that's
what you do when you have a midlife crisis. You can do bad things, or you can do very good things.
What's the difference between bad and good? When
well,
it
in
comes
this
to your
case,
midlife
bad
crisis?
would be like unspeakable things. Good things is buying a new cool car.
Let's speak of them.
Well, anyway, I'm very happy. Let's just say nobody had their feelings hurt in the buying of this car.
I like that.
Yeah.
See, voluntary interaction. Oh, wait, but isn't a Tesla a taxation is theft issue because they're giving tax subsidies to
Sweetheart,
Tesla?
I didn't buy a Tesla.
Oh,
I
is
bought
that
an S2K.
I don't know
What's
what an
wrong with you?
S2K is.
All right, you're clearly not a car geek.
No, what is an S2K?
Let me just say, all car geeks truly admire my car. They love it.
I didn't even know it was.
So there you go.
Tesla.
Oh, wait, anybody listening who understands this will understand. If those with ears will hear.
Well, but those in the audience that are like me are going to feel the same way, and then those on your team will also
Let
like
me just say,
your
I own an
purchase.
S2K.
Okay, well,
That
he's
is
a
what I
very
do.
fancy
That's how I
fellow.
do, yeah.
So how did you acquire this S2K? It's been a very busy year for
With
you.
crypto profits. What else?
Exactly. I'm trying to bring it back to crypto because
That's how we do.
It was a crazy year this year. Down, bear market, but we're all still here. We're here in Las Vegas.
Well, magic internet money comes and goes, but Lamborghinis are forever.
Oh, isn't that charming? So what are you doing here anyway?
Oh, where am I? Las Vegas, World CryptoCon. It's a good event. Lots of distributors, lots of companies that have survived this very grim and difficult year. But lots of charming people, and we're building the future is what we're doing.
I think so too. Are you giving any speeches here?
Yeah, I gave one this morning, Tatiana, which is fine, and it was a lovely talk, and I delighted the masses.
I can imagine that you did. It was a very lascivious look that you gave me as you told me about how you delighted everyone. And how unfortunate it was that I missed it. Sasha, I guess you didn't get a chance to catch it.
I'll just have to give you both a private version of it.
Okay, this is an odd interview. Let me ask you something. What's going to happen with the market? You're an economist. You're over at AIER.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Economists don't know the future, and I've heard a lot of predictions. I've had a good sense about November as being the big turnaround. And if you look at the market activity right now, it's actually interesting. We're starting to see, if you look carefully at Tether, it's been for the last 30 days or so starting to break trend in ways that are ever more dramatic. And if that happens...
Like when it went to $85?
Yeah, and already this morning it started breaking trend again. And if this happens, we're going to start seeing, because Tether is one of the trading pairs of the market. You're nodding your head like you know, but you do. And if Tether actually starts to not be as viable as it used to be, then we're going to start seeing a lot of the energy being poured into some of the more mainstream, highly capitalized coins. So anyway, I'm bullish this November, but I heard just this morning from one of the lead developers of Ravencoin that we're in for continued bear market conditions into October of 2019, which may be true. But I don't know, people talk about bear market, but I don't know. I mean, we don't even remember that in January of 2017, Bitcoin Core was $1,000, and that was like a high point for us, and we were all cheering, So, it's all relative.
Yeah, I think around this time last year, it was around 6,500, if not even a little bit lower.
Maybe that's right.
And so that was an all-time high. I mean, maybe it's not great that it went up to 20 and went back down, but...
I don't know. I remember the days when it was like 140 and then crashed down to 60 and everybody was in a panic, So none of this stuff freaks me out. I'm an original gangster in this space, so as are you, so...
May I ask you, do you have any projects that you're excited about right now? I mean, I know you like Bitcoin, and then you like Bitcoin Cash,
I'm really
right?
excited, and there's so much crypto news out there, we have to pick and choose, but I'm really interested in using the use of blockchain to establish provenance, which is a really important, kind of historically important function of documentary technology, and blockchain is perfect for this. So it's the replacement of 70s-style databases with blockchain technology that has me most excited, because you get immutable audit trails of ownership rights, which promotes peace and prosperity. So those kinds of things are great. And of course, the ultimate, to me, killer app of blockchain is of course the money piece. And I'm very interested to watch that. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you familiar with Codex Protocol for the art establishing provenance? I've just been curious on this. How does it work if someone still steals the art piece? It's
garbage in, garbage out, always, right? But at least with blockchain technology, you have an extra incentive to finally lock it down, and once authenticity is established, then it becomes an immutable fact for all of human history. And that's really important. So you're incentivized really to establish the authenticity of pieces. And it's not a perfect solution, but at least it provides the basis for at least the discontinuation of the perpetuation of fraud, which something like 60-70% of artwork is fraudulent, actually, in even the high-end market spaces. Because even now you can buy any of the old master paintings from China that are made of oils, and you can't even tell them from the originals. So how are you going to establish this? And this is why I think blockchain technology could be really useful.
It'll be like when someone goes to buy a car. Like if you don't have the registration with it, no one's going to purchase it from you. Same thing maybe with art.
Yeah, homes are the same way. Eventually, we're going to develop a standard for titling that's as I say, authoritative and real and immutable, and that could be huge for the art markets. We've already started to see in 2017 some auctions taking place in the art market with crypto, and that's just been delightful.
Absolutely. So to switch gears, we've got election time right now. Mm-hmm. The country climate is heating up, and there's a lot of fire going around.
Oh, sure.
What's your take on what's going to happen, and do you think that we're going to see maybe Is there any way to get out of this sort of escalation that seems to be occurring? I mean, look at Facebook. They just banned 800 pages. Twitter did it in tandem.
Oh, it's crazy.
Things seem to be really heating up in terms of the police state and the state in general. In terms
well, you know the answer I'm going to give, which is that the
to
problem with the state is centralization, and the answer to the problems of centralization is decentralization. And to some extent, Google and Facebook and Twitter are all centralized platforms. And we're starting to see this push, and it's difficult and it's painful, but we're going to see a more and more push towards decentralization of everything. And the more decentralization, the less censorship we're going to deal with. And bear in mind, a lot of these mainstream platforms have been basically nationalized. You know, like Twitter's censorship is just crazy. I mean, this actually happened to me 2 days ago. I heard an item on the New York Times about a website called USA Really, which is a kind of a Russian website where they're just commenting on American politics. And I wanted to share the link with somebody on Facebook Instant Messenger, and they blocked me from doing it. Like, Facebook Instant Messenger blocked me from sharing a website, and then they logged me out and said, oh, I've been sending spam. And so then I had to re-authenticate myself, and I thought, my God, this is just a tool of the government. At this point, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
this is not sustainable.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I worry about the incentives and the power is already in the hands of the government and these other companies.
Yeah, but that's
and
been
they're
true
all
for 6,000 years. I mean, it's been true for 6,000 years. I mean,
right.
Power is always in the hands of powerful people.
But now they can spy on us even more, and they have the ability to print more money, so they can make more guns and kill us all. So I guess that gets a little bit scary.
But that's been true for forever. What's different about our times?
Surveillance.
I mean, they've been surveilled in the Soviet Union and China. Anytime government gets big, they spy on you. Mm-hmm. That's been true even in ancient Egypt. So, I mean, that's why Mary and Joseph were going to Bethlehem, was to be spied upon. I mean, that's what governments do. What's cool about our times is that we have an alternative to it now. So we should focus on the good things, not just forever like you, always crabby and upset about everything.
I don't appreciate that categorization. I'm just saying that, I saw Lynn Ulbricht's talk today, and when you see how many people are getting put away, they actually have the ability to do that. So when we talk about solutions, I'm obviously very excited to be here, but I do get a little bit concerned about the incentives. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Trump likes Bitcoin? Is it good that government is interested in Bitcoin?
Trump likes
and
whatever's
crypto?
good for Trump, right? So it could be anything. And I really approve of the Free Ross initiative, because I think we could reach a tipping point where Trump will say, wow, if I let Ross go, then all the crypto people will love me.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I would.
He loves popularity, so.
I mean, I would go for it.
We should start buttering him up, and all these videos we're taking of people saying why they signed the petition, we should have people say, like, thank you, Trump, for doing this. We love, we'll be so grateful if you
let him go, we'll love you.
Yeah.
We will love him then.
We'll go play
Actually,
with
that's true.
Yeah. Well,
I would forgive a lot, even protectionism against China.
Well, the funny thing is with all the rhetoric against Trump, I mean, he hasn't been that terrible in terms of business stuff. And I think that's really what people are caring about, especially after such a recession.
Yeah, it's relative. I mean, the protectionism has been grim, but we don't have to go there. I mean, relative to the left, yes, he's been pretty good.
Right. Well,
and that's always the question.
So
right?
what's your thoughts on all this tariff stuff?
I think he's crazy and dangerous and pointless. These trade wars have served no purpose whatsoever, and they've been harmful to American consumers and American manufacturing, and injurious to supply chains and everything else. I think it's really been dumb and grim. I mean, on balance, he's been in favor of tax cuts and deregulation, and that's been good. But his nationalism, I think, is really dangerous. By the way, also, let me just mention, I don't like this anti-immigration thing that we have going on here in this country. I mean, we have a labor shortage right now. It seems like a perfect time to start inviting immigrants in.
I think that's a complicated issue. I think that it's really hard to get into the country legally. I mean, Sasha, you know better than anybody. Sasha's from Canada. Tell Jeffrey a little bit about the story about how difficult it is. Because, when people think about immigration, they think, oh, somebody's just coming across the border from the South. But, I mean, she's an attorney, arguably somebody that you'd want in this country. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm currently here on a TN visa, which is only offered to Canadians or Mexicans of 35 specific professions, one of which is an attorney. I wanted to move here before going to law school, but I applied so many times for jobs and I couldn't get anyone to want to sponsor me on my previous credentials. So I was able to easily get a student visa, come to law school, and then I knew that that would turn into a TN visa as long as someone hired me. What I didn't expect was how hard it would be to get the TN visa. I had to leave America with my apartment and everything here this summer. I had to apply 3 different times at the border, and I got taken in this room where they were very, very rude every time, telling me I had to have my actual framed degree. The first time I just had a photo of my degree. That wasn't enough. I had to come back, get my real degree, and then they said I had to wait till the time frame was up. So the last time I went this summer, they wouldn't let me back and said I was a flight risk. I had to I decided to stop going to Pearson, and my mom drove with me to the Niagara Falls crossing, and they even detained me and my mom in this room we were the only white people in the room, and the customs border, also a white person, kept coming in and telling us that the room stunk. You guys need deodorant. And there was maybe 100 of us in there. There wasn't AC, and we were stuck there for a long time. So yeah, people are going to get sweaty.
Canada.
Yeah. And then they'd have your passport, and they'd look at the names of these people with long, hard to say names, and he'd be like, "Oh, you need a different name than this." Like, just being so rude.
Wow.
And finally, they did let us through. Let me through.
A lot
but-
of this is, what year was this?
this was
last
3
year?
months ago in July.
So everything's gotten really grim. I was just in Bermuda and trying to come back, and they detained me for about 45 minutes. Took my passport, and
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the American border control detaining me. Like, what?
Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show.